My ex-wife left me for her girlfriend, then plotted to take our son. So I fought back to protect him. I'm 35, and now I'm trying to protect my son from the woman I once trusted with my life. 7 years of marriage, countless memories, and one beautiful 8-year-old boy. All of it changed when my wife decided to live her truth. Some days, I still wake up wondering if I could have seen it coming, if there were signs I missed while building what I thought was our perfect life together. It started 2 years ago on what seemed like any other evening. Lucia and I had just finished dinner. Anthony was upstairs finishing his homework, and I was washing dishes when she said we needed to talk. There was something in her voice that made my stomach drop. We sat at the kitchen table where we'd shared thousands of meals, where Anthony had taken his first steps, where we'd planned our future together. Lucia couldn't meet my eyes as she spoke the words that would shatter our world. "I'm in love with someone else," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Her name is Alina." Alina, the name hit me like a physical blow. Her work friend who'd been coming over for girls' nights for the past year. The same Alina who'd sat at our dinner table, laughed with our son, brought wine to our barbecues, all while having an affair with my wife. I thought back to all those nights Lucia had been working late, or having drinks with the girls, and felt sick realizing what had really been happening. "How long?" I managed to ask. "Since she joined the company last year," Lucia admitted. "But I've known I was different for longer. I just couldn't accept it until I met her." The betrayal cut deep, but what hurt more was how Lucia tried to rewrite our history. "I've always known deep down," she continued, tears streaming down her face. "I do love you, but it's different. Alina helps me feel whole in a way I never knew I could." Different, 7 years of marriage, the birth of our son, every kiss, every touch, every "I love you," all reduced to different. I wanted to scream, to break something, to make her feel a fraction of the pain tearing through my chest. Instead, I asked about Anthony. "He doesn't need to know everything right now," she said. "We can tell him I'm moving out, that sometimes parents need to live apart. Alina and I will take things slow with him." Take things slow. As if she hadn't already been sneaking around with Alina for a year, as if she hadn't already planned out this new life without me. I later learned they'd already been looking at apartments together, planning their future while my world was still intact. The divorce moved quickly. She didn't want anything except shared custody of Anthony. Looking back, I should have seen it as the calm before the storm. Lucia was too agreeable, too willing to let me handle the financial arrangements. She even suggested I keep the house, but I couldn't stand to look at it anymore. Every room held memories that now felt tainted. I moved in with my sister, Jenny, who became my rock through all of this. She took time off work to help with Anthony while I tried to pull myself together, rearranged her entire life to accommodate us. The house we'd built our life in? We sold it and put the extra money in Anthony's college fund. At least something good could come from the ashes of my marriage. For 6 months, I was a mess. I'd go to work, pick up Anthony on my assigned days, go through the motions of living, but inside I felt hollow. Jenny helped with Anthony while I tried to piece myself back together. She'd make sure he got to school on time, help him with homework, try to maintain some normalcy in his life while I struggled to get out of bed some mornings. That's when things got complicated. Lucia and Alina moved in together, got engaged, and planned a destination wedding in Spain, Alina's home country. They wanted Anthony to miss school for a week to attend. I gave in, not wanting to create drama, telling myself it was important for Anthony to see his mother happy. But after the wedding, they tried to take him on their honeymoon for bonding time. That's when I noticed changes in Anthony. He seemed anxious, withdrawn. His teachers reported he was having trouble concentrating in class. One day, he finally confided that Lucia was pressuring him to call Alina Mom. I finally confronted Lucia over coffee at a neutral spot. She was already there when I arrived, nervously stirring a latte she wasn't drinking. "We need to talk about what's been going on," I said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Anthony told me you've been pushing Spanish lessons pretty hard." She wouldn't meet my eyes. "I just want him to connect with his heritage. Is that so wrong?" "His heritage," I kept my voice low, steady. "When we were married, you barely spoke Spanish at home. We agreed to raise him in English because that's what you wanted. What changed?" That's when she dropped the real bomb. She and Alina weren't just planning a future together. They were planning one that didn't include me, at least not in any meaningful way. "Alina's whole family is in Spain," she said, her words tumbling out in a rush. "We've been thinking, maybe in a year or 2 we could move there. Give Anthony a chance to experience a different culture, learn the language properly. You could visit any time you want. Visit, the word hit me like a slap. My son, my flesh and blood, and she wanted to reduce me to an occasional visitor in his life. Someone who'd pop in for holidays and summer breaks, watching from the sidelines as another woman raised him. So that's what the Spanish lessons are really about? I asked, pieces clicking into place. You're prepping him for a move you haven't even discussed with me. She had the grace to look guilty. Elena's family has connections there, better schools, better opportunities, and with both of us speaking Spanish at home, he'd pick it up so quickly. Both of us? I cut in. You mean you and Elena? I'm his father, Lucia. You can't just write me out of his life because it doesn't fit your new narrative. Then something terrifying happened. Anthony got violently ill after returning from their house one weekend. Not just a stomach bug, he was rushed to the emergency room with severe dehydration and electrolyte imbalance. The hospital found traces of ipecac in his system. Someone had been making him sick on purpose. I couldn't believe it at first. Surely Lucia, whatever her faults, wouldn't hurt our son. But my lawyer friend insisted we install security cameras at their house during their next visitation weekend. What we caught made my blood run cold. The footage showed Elena mixing something into Anthony's food while Lucia distracted him with a video game. Their plan: make it look like he was having health issues under my care. Text messages between them, obtained through a court order, discussed how a few more episodes might convince the courts I wasn't fit to be his primary caregiver. They'd been methodically trying to poison my relationship with my son, literally and figuratively. Every stomach bug, every food sensitivity had been orchestrated. They'd even been documenting each illness, building a case against me while slowly making my son sick. My lawyer friend who handled the divorce was furious. This is attempted child endangerment, he said, already drafting emergency custody papers. We can get full custody and press criminal charges. This isn't just unethical, it's illegal. Lucia broke down when confronted with the evidence. Through tears, she admitted they'd planned to build a case against me, then moved to Spain with Anthony. Elena had convinced her it was the only way they could have a real family. She tried to justify it, saying the doses were small, that they were careful not to make him too sick. The custody battle was brutal. Lucia's family, who disowned her for being gay, actually testified on my behalf about her history of manipulation. Her own mother revealed she'd done similar things in high school, making herself sick to get out of tests or gain sympathy. She's always been willing to hurt herself or others to get what she wants, her mother testified. I just never thought she'd hurt her own child. The court proceedings revealed more than just the poisoning. There were detailed plans on their computers about moving to Spain, documentation of every time I was even slightly late for pickup or drop-off, notes about Anthony's most casual complaints about me, all being gathered to build a case that I was an unfit father. In the end, I got full custody. Lucia got supervised visitation rights, and Elena was barred from contact with Anthony. The courts don't look kindly on people who poison children, regardless of their reasons. The judge was particularly harsh in her ruling, noting that the premeditated nature of their actions showed a complete disregard for Anthony's well-being. Anthony's in therapy now, working through the trauma. He's angry at his mom, confused about why she chose Elena over us, and scared of being taken away from me. Some nights he still wakes up from nightmares about being forced to live in Spain. The therapist says it'll take time, but kids are resilient. We're working on helping him understand that none of this was his fault. Then at a college reunion, one Jenny practically forced me to attend, I ran into Kate, my ex-girlfriend from university. She divorced 2 years earlier and understood the kind of pain I was going through. She started as a friend, someone who would listen without judgment, who knew when to push me to take care of myself and when to just sit with me in silence. A year after the divorce, we started dating. It was different this time, slower, more mature. We'd both been through enough to know what we wanted, what we wouldn't tolerate. Kate never pushed to meet Anthony until I was ready, and when they did meet, she was patient, understanding that she wasn't trying to replace anyone. Kate's been amazing through all this. She knows when to step back and let Anthony process, never pushing to be called mom or trying to replace Lucia. She's just there, steady and supportive, helping him with homework when he wants it or just sitting quietly nearby when he needs space. She's even started learning about motorcycles because Anthony's interested in them, not trying to force her own interests on him. Lucia emails sometimes, begging to see Anthony without supervision. Alina's gone. Apparently she fled back to Spain when the police got involved. The perfect queer family she wanted to create? It crumbled under the weight of their own schemes. Last I heard, Alina's family in Spain wants nothing to do with Lucia now that they know what she did to her own child. I'm still angry, but mostly I'm sad. Sad that Lucia couldn't just be honest from the start. Sad that she chose Alina's manipulative plans over our son's well-being. Sad that Anthony has to grow up knowing his mother was willing to poison him to get what she wanted. The therapist says my feelings are valid, that it's okay to be angry while still mourning the family we lost. Last week, Anthony asked if we could take down the photos of Lucia from his room. "I'm not ready to look at them yet, Dad," he said, his voice small but determined. I helped him pack them away in a box, telling him it's okay to be angry, it's okay to need time. "We can always put them back up when you're ready," I told him. "Or not, it's your choice." We're building a new normal now. Weekend motorcycle rides, Lego building sessions, therapy appointments, and quiet dinners with Kate. It's not the life I planned, but we're making it work. Anthony's starting to smile more, to trust that I won't let anyone take him away. Lucia's family still sees Anthony when they can. They've been surprisingly supportive, especially her parents. "We may have lost our daughter to her choices," her father told me, "but we won't lose our grandson too." They've become regular fixtures at his baseball games and school events, making sure he knows he's still loved, still part of a family. The courts recently denied Lucia's petition to remove the supervision requirement. Her lawyer argued that she's in therapy now, that she understands what she did wrong, but the judge wasn't convinced. "Trust, once broken, must be earned back," she said, "and that takes more than a few months of good behavior." The police investigation is ongoing. They're building a case against Alina for child endangerment, and there's talk of extradition proceedings. Lucia's facing her own legal troubles. The hospital records and security footage make for compelling evidence. Her legal team is pushing for a plea deal, but the prosecutor seems determined to make an example of them both. I don't know what the future holds. Anthony's old enough to understand what happened, but young enough to hopefully heal from it. Kate and I are taking things slow, making sure Anthony's comfortable with every step. My lawyer keeps all the evidence in a safe, just in case Lucia or Alina try anything again. Sometimes I look at old wedding photos and wonder if any of it was real. Did Lucia ever love me, or was I just a convenient cover until she found Alina? But then Anthony comes running in, excited about his latest Lego creation or wanting to show me a new motorcycle video, and I remember what matters most. We're survivors, my son and I. The trust between us has grown stronger through this ordeal. He knows I'll always protect him, always put his well-being first. And no matter what Lucia throws at us next, we'll face it together, one day at a time.